Joining me now is Lauren Megaw. She is the head of IR for Reyna Silver. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's been a year. It's exciting to, a lot's happened in the last year, especially the last month or so.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. We were just looking at the silver price. It's getting exciting here, but that's not the main focus of your company. That's one aspect. We'll get to that. But let's refresh viewers, if we can, about the strategy, essentially, the projects in Mexico and Nevada, but also you're looking for monsters, as you say, high-grade district scale ore systems.
Yeah, and our focus is on the kind of thing that moves the needle, really generates value for investors and provides metals moving forward. And that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. And, we're looking for the kind of thing that's a high enough grade that it can make money when silver's at whatever your nightmare is, but simultaneously, high enough grade that when, the cycle turns and things are going well, you could party all night if you want to, right? That's where the champagne prices
all right.
And, that's the kind of deposit that you either want to take into production yourself or someone else says, I need that. And that gives you more exposure to really creating value for investors, right? And it requires a particular philosophy for exploration to make those discoveries. And we're lucky to have an exploration team that has repeatedly done that. And that's why we have the portfolio of assets, the 2 projects in Mexico, the 2 projects in Nevada. Stools are more stable with forelegs, right? That's one of the reasons why you do that. And the other component is it allows you to do the good geologic work that's required to put those targets together, the reiterative process to really figure out a system and simultaneously be able to drill a project and test it and see if you're right. And that gives your investors more exposure as well. And, we're excited to have Griffin and Medicine Springs and Gigi and Bapabais because we have some absolute monster potential. And we could be right about 1, we could be right about 4. That's the kind of thing that, we think really allows us to stand apart.
So Griffin is part of this joint venture with Reyna Gold. So this is fairly new. You say it's in your wheelhouse for Reyna Silver. Also, it's been explored by majors before. So what's appealing about the project?
Where do I get started?
What isn't appealing?
No, so Griffin is the newest project to us, but it's the most advanced project, which is one of the reasons why we decided we wanted to do it this summer. One of the big things was as we acquired it, announced the acquisition last September, and as we taken a deep dive into the data, and there was just such good preservation of the historic work. I mean, all the core was still there. And so we were able to go and relog all of that and really get to figure out, okay, what was intersected, what pieces were missing, how can we figure out how to use that so we're not reinventing the wheel, we're building upon what's been done previously. And one of the things that's, particularly exciting at Griffin for us is because of where it's at, which is between the Carlin Trend and the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend, big gold mega districts. And because this project is absolutely littered with gold mineralization, the focus there has been on the gold, despite the fact that it has this absolutely monstrous expression of a carbonate replacement deposit. And so we're going to go and tackle that because one of the cool things about metals and mineralized systems is what they use is plumbing, structures, fractures in the rock. That's where the mineralization moves through. And so you get these overprinting systems, the big ones, the big deposits that make a big splash on the market and really actually become something. They tend to be long-lived systems. And what we see at Griffin is we've had the same structures used repeatedly, both by the CRD style mineralization, but later apparently by Carlin-type gold mineralization. And what's been done previously hasn't worked for really figuring out the Carlin mineralization. So our idea is, let's go after these big structures that are carrying the CRD mineralization. I mean, for starters, coming from a CRD perspective, you go after the plummet, you go after the roots, because that's what's going to allow you to vector your way through the system and find the big mineralization. And our idea is to use that to better understand the whole framework for the deposit. And maybe that will help us understand the gold as well. So sort of a killing two birds with one stone. And that's before we get into the whole copper component at that project as well. So, you know, one of the things that's got us really excited at Griffin is, you know, we have 3 to 4 potentially very intriguing possibilities there. And if we're right about just one, you know, that would be exciting. If we're right about multiple, buckle up. So, you know, that's why we chose to focus there this summer, even though we've had success with our other projects, because we're like, how can we not drill that program and see if we're right? Because it's such a cool project.
Right. We can sense your passion for sure. So that's the focus this summer, not to ignore some of the other projects, such as Bapabais. You've got high-grade veins there, new high-grade veins.
Yeah, so last summer, you know, we discovered this zone of over 30 meters of silver mineralization with 9 meters that run over 600 grams silver. And this is in a district where, you know, it's native silver is the historic ore mineral there, and which essentially means that it pours sterling, like it's pure silver. And, you know, we're looking at that silver exploration company come in, and we started finding gold because we stepped out of the historic district. We said, how much bigger is this thing? Boom, we started finding gold. And so we did a bunch of new work. We did that reiterative process of geophysics and sampling and structural work. We put those together, and, you know, we found these sort of stacked areas of interest. So, you know, the structure was interesting, the sampling was interesting, the geophysics was interesting. And, you know, we tested 2 of those in areas that we thought were higher probability before we go after the ones that are hidden undercover. And that's where we hit that, you know, 9 meters of 600. It's also where we found this new native silver vein where there's not been any seen before. And we said, okay, that tells us we're getting really close to where those big famous ore chutes were. These things would be, the whole structure would be 3 to 5 meters across, with 0.5 meter to 2 meters of grades that ran up to 2% silver, okay, 20,000 grams. And that thing would go for 30 to 80 meters and hundreds of meters down. And that would happen again and again along these structures. And we've tapped into a new one of those. And so we're now doing the work that's required in geology to really understand which way we need to go, because that would be, you know, the follow-up target. And that's before we get into the gold targets that we've got there too. So, yep, the market's soft, where it has been. I mean, I guess that's shifting, but, you know, that's a great time to do the kind of work so that you can put your best, most strategic targets together, have them in your quiver, ready to go when the market moves, because that's what really allows you to take advantage of that and become one of the stars in the next cycle.
One of the things we talked about on our live silver show a while ago that you were part of, and I'd like you to flesh it out a little bit. Essentially, you're saying that Reyna, you're looking for monsters, you're looking for the kinds of discoveries where if silver spikes, the price spikes, you do well, obviously. If there is a downturn, your worst nightmare, as you say, then you'll be okay too. So essentially, it's nose to the grindstone, and the silver price will take care of itself, basically.
Yeah, because, you know, the thing is, if you find a monster, people love it no matter where, you know, the silver price is, because that's the kind of deposit, especially if they're big enough, that can survive multiple market cycles. That's where the big money is made, right? And people in the space recognize that. And, if you take into consideration what the metal markets have done for as long as I've been alive, they're cyclical. You get these up and downs. So why not explore for the kind of deposit that takes that into consideration and says, survive the lows, or even make some money in the lows, depending on what type of deposit you're talking, depending on how good it ends up being. But that also allows you to make the most money when the price goes up. The adage of, when silver prices are high, mine the low grade, and silver prices are low, mine the high grade. That doesn't work. The math there. You're mining it. You're not making the most leverage, the highest margin. But, we use that theory as our filter for the kind of things that we go after. And it has served our exploration team repeatedly very successfully. I mean, probably the best example of that is Mag Silver's Juanicipio deposit. I mean, that thing produces crazy high grade. It's all in sustaining costs. It's like $15. And, at today's prices, that's big money. And so, if prices are lower, you survive. But then when prices go way up, you make that much more money. And that's the kind of thing that moves the needle.
Right. And the silver market has come to life, as we know, so we'll be keenly following the news flow from Reyna Silver. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Good stuff. Lauren Megaw from Reyna Silver.